If you're relying on email marketing to solve for increasing customer acquisition costs, then don't be surprised when you're left severely disappointed when results don't improve and it doesn't actually move the needle and make CAC more affordable. Most of the time, when brands default to improving or increasing the frequency of emails that they send, it's to compensate for structural issues within the business. And let me explain what I mean by that. So if you are somebody who's suffering from increasing customer acquisition costs, which is pretty much every brand in the world right now, your natural inclination may be to hire an email agency or to double down on your retention channels by sending more emails, more texts, more WhatsApp, more direct mail, and then being disappointed by the output. And let me explain what you should do instead and why this happens. So as I've covered in previous videos, this is a structural issue with retention. It's not a channel issue. And before you start looking specifically at email marketing, I want you to take a look at these 4 metrics within your business. Your 90-day repeat purchase rate, or it could be anywhere from 30, 60, 90 days, but generally speaking, 90-day is a good benchmark. Your order 1 to 2 drop-off, especially if you are a subscription-based brand. Your 90-day LTV. Now, this might sound the same as number 1, but it's actually not, because a lot of the time you can sell more product upfront, which I'll come on to in a second, and that can improve your 90-day LTV, but it won't necessarily improve the repeat purchase rate. And number 4, the payback period. So when do you actually break even on your acquisition cost or make a profit? These are 4 things that you need to understand before you start to decide on your actual strategy, because depending on what you're selling, it might be slightly different which avenue you decide to pursue. And I'll go through each of these now. So let's start with the 90-day repurchase rate. Now, if you are someone who's struggling to get repeat purchases, there is many things that you need to look at. Number 1, and the most important on this list, is to understand the category that you're selling in. Is your product actually built for retention? If it's not, then there's really not much you can do to actually move this number in a very significant way. As an example, let's say you are selling furniture or mattresses. If you're selling these type of products, how often does a customer need to purchase them? Every month, every 90 days? The answer is not frequently. So no matter what strategy you do, especially as it pertains to email, you can't meaningfully influence this number, in which case you might need to look at cross-product expansion and expanding your overall assortment so you have more logical upsells and cross-sells to give to customers. If you're selling mattresses, then the obvious one will be bedding, pillows, etc., things that are native to your hero SKU. So that can be a category issue that you need to map out and understand very clearly. And you can do this by looking at what products people actually come back and purchase again after they make the initial purchase of your hero SKU. Because for most brands, around 80% of first-time sales tend to be the hero SKU. So it's the 80-20 rule of play, depending on what category you're operating in. And if this is the case and you sell a CPG type product, so let's just switch from the typical one-time purchase category to something that is designed to be consumed every month or 2 months or more frequently, then a lot of the time the customer is actually coming back to buy the same thing as they initially purchased. So you don't need to be too sophisticated with how you're analyzing this. Just look at the product that people came in on and they purchased, especially if it's something, as I said, in CPG, like a supplement. When do they come back and repurchase it? And do they even come back and repurchase it? If this is sub 20%, not necessarily within 90 days or within a year, then you have a major problem with that product. Either you're mis-selling it or it doesn't work as intended, or there could be other elements as well, like there's no novelty attached to it, new flavor releases, etc. So there's many reasons why a 90-day repurchase rate is low. If you're in CPG and it's sub 20% over a 3-month time frame, the likelihood is the product just doesn't deliver on the expectations of the customer. So make sure you look at your qualitative signals and analyze reviews, customer sentiment. Does the product actually give customers results? If it does, then that figure will organically grow irrespective of whether you're sending emails to someone. And let's go on to number 2, order 1 to 2 drop off. Now, this is obviously more specific to subscriptions, and there is many reasons why you might have this order 2 drop off. It might not necessarily be because the product doesn't work. It could be that customers are gaming your introductory offer. It might be aggressive, for example, 50% off the RRP, and then they just cancel pretty much immediately before the second order comes along. Or the billing reminders might be framed the wrong way. They might not be using the product. They might have too much of the product by the time the billing comes around. Again, there's a myriad of reasons why someone churns at order 2, and I'll leave a separate link to a video where I've covered this in quite detail. But ultimately, if someone's not reaching that second order, then most likely the customer is not building a habit with the product, or there's poor onboarding in place. Because if you are on a subscription product designed to be taken every single month or within 90-day increments even, and they're not reaching order 2, or you have a significant drop off, let's say 40 to 50% of customers before order 2, then you are not onboarding and setting expectations with these customers correctly. Because why would they churn order number 2? It's because either they're not getting results, they have too much of the product, or they don't know how to use the product, or the price, the value, the perceived value is being manipulated so people can take advantage of the introductory offer. So again, this is a structural issue with the business. The email alone can't solve. And these are all the type of things that you need to consider before starting to send more emails. But specifically look at that onboarding period. Now let's go on to number 3. Your 90-day lifetime value is flat. Now, many people will conflate this with your repeat purchase rate, and for sure there's a lot of overlap between the two. However, there is definitely many instances where you can increase LTV without necessarily increasing the 90-day repurchase rate. Of course, most of the time you will pull both levers simultaneously. But as an example, if you are selling more product up front, which I think is the right thing to do for the majority of brands, subscription or not, then that is one of the best ways to increase your LTV up front, especially if you have a churn problem at number 2. It's to give customers more product up front so they're more committed to it. And then obviously you're not necessarily improving the repeat purchase rate, but you're making the unit economics more sustainable, because if you collect more cash up front, then you can afford to spend more on acquisition costs. So that's one of the best strategies to mitigate a flat 90-day LTV. It's just to sell more to the customer up front. And then I think something critical, especially if you are in the CPG space, is to look at novelty. So if you are selling things like supplements or some type of nutritional product, how often are you releasing complementary flavors of that product or synergistic products that combine well with it? Novelty is a huge driver of retention. Even for fashion brands, I look at my sisters and how they consume email content or any type of promotional content for brands like Zara or whatever else they're buying from. New releases, new seasonal releases, new promos, new products added to the assortment. If it fits into your business model, this is a major driver of LTV. So giving people a reason to come back, something fresh, something new, is a way that you can increase LTV within not just a 90-day time frame, but any type of time frame. So look at your calendar for the year, map out those key periods, and make sure that you have these new releases mapped into the calendar. We work with a fragrance brand, and this is a critical part of their business and making it more sustainable. They have new scents coming out all the time. It's mapped out throughout the year, even limited edition drops, collabs with other influencers. This is something that you need to be looking at for your business as well. And then finally, the payback period. And all of the above will obviously help by improving the payback period and making it more sustainable. But one of the things that you should also be looking at is the actual acquisition offer and the construct up front. So if you're manipulating some of these levers on the list, then your customer acquisition cost might actually go up. So they might increase the LTV, but your acquisition costs may go up. So you need to constantly keep an eye on this and monitor things. Most of the time, if you're looking at, for example, acquiring subscribers versus one-time purchases, and you're getting these customers from Meta, then you're going to increase your acquisition costs. But obviously, the upsides of that is that you're making your business more sustainable in the long run. So looking at that acquisition offer, looking at the positioning, the messaging, the hook that you brought someone in on, the entry-level product, and looking at when the payback period is for that specific product or offer or messaging will enable you to make smarter, more strategic decisions about who your best customers are, when they come back, how much they spend over time, and how you should recreate your whole funnel, customer journey, ads construct, messaging, everything. That's what you need to look at when you're talking about your payback period. Now, of course, email and retention channels help improve all of these, but you have to fix the foundations and the structural elements of the business for email to have a compounding effect. If you just think the solution is running more emails to solve these problems, then I'm sorry to say you are setting yourself up for major disappointment. Fix the business first and then look at the supporting channels around it.